So I want you to understand that I really want to lead with kindness and figure out how to do that to the best of my ability. But I also want to be a realist where you have to know that the world is just unforgiving in a lot of ways. And despite this happening, and so this is what's going to happen to you. On almost everything, you'll realize that nobody else is going to do the work. You have to do it yourself. That most people try to get out of doing things as quickly as they possibly can and pass that on to you. And so you have to stand up and do the best that you possibly can. Like this idea that people are really inherently, self-centered, uh, but you have to get used to it, right? Like that is the situation. The only thing that I know in terms of making sure that you do well is to repeatedly lead with as much kindness as possible. I do get angry. I do get very upset and all of those things because I think generally, that there is like, most people are pretty self-centered, but at the same time, you have to come back to this idea that, you know, despite that, what are you going to be all the time, right? Like super angry. And I got like these emotions that I feel inside, right? Like that are deep. Um, but I have to learn how to let them go. And the only way that I can learn to let them go is to continually reinvest, continually figure out what to do next and to lead with as much kindness and empathy as possible. And this is a super challenging thing. If you've ever gone through something and built something, so I'm really talking about the whole reciprocity project where I'm building this project, this platform to create non-rejectable research papers for anybody. Anybody can do this. And the only way I know how to actually do this is to continuously get up and do it again, regardless, um, and not lose faith with myself. And the only way I know how to do that is, yes, I got to realize that the world is harsh, that there is just like nothing, right? It's nothing. There's no response because generally people are really self-centered. Um, you just have to get used to that, right? And once you get used to that, the only way that I know that actually works to train your brain is to just remember to lead with as much kindness as you possibly can, um, without being a pushover. And this is the thing I'm struggling with here in terms of figuring out what is that middle ground. I think we all really struggle with this. I have a tendency to be too too much, and like people view me as a pushover because I generally the way that I talk, my mannerisms, all those kind of things, and people really strongly believe that I'm a pushover or I'm too shy. Or, but in order to build something, you have to lead with a tremendous amount of kindness, um, and repeatedly do that over and over and over and over again. But at the same time, not be a pushover in terms of what you're doing. And it's incredibly hard to find what the right balance is, especially as somebody like myself. And I think there's probably lots of people that listen to this that are very similar to who I am. Is that you're raised in a good family, and you realize that the world it should be it should be relatively good, but it isn't, right? And that's why we have conflict in this world. Um, just look at world conflict. There's lots of people that just are not nice, right? And they don't play fair and all those kind of things. So you have to be on the other side of what does that actually look like? And so in order to be generous, and these are really strong, important lessons that I've learned repeatedly, in order to be generous is to balance it. Know that your generosity is capped to some degree because you will get taken advantage of if you let that go. And so it's this real tension that I often feel, is like, how much of a generous person should I be? What is the line of that? Because the world does not care, right? And so what is the line of that, of what is too much? And how hard of a hard line should you take? That is the ultimate really important question, is what does it look like, right? And you struggle with it repeatedly. I struggle with it repeatedly. What does that mean? How much should I be kind and generous and kind of a quote unquote nice person versus being ruthless and making hard decisions, all that kind of stuff that you think about. And that's the balance that you have to sort of see. Is like, yes, people are very self-centered, right? If you come into the world knowing that people are self-centered, and this has been really enlightening for me, it's really helped. If I come into the world knowing that people are self-centered, and then from there I work backwards to develop how much I should be in terms of kind and empathetic and all of those kind of things. That's where I am right now, is trying to figure that out. And I suspect there is no right answer with any of this, right? I suspect that that's what it means to be a leader, is to balance that. Because on either side, it's not great, is what I'm saying. And on either side, you can create a whole bunch of just entitlement on one side, right? If you're too kind, too generous, entitlement, you're going to be taken advantage of, all those kind of things. And on the other side, create a culture of just nastiness and people not liking each other, that kind of stuff. And it's this constant battle, repeatedly, in my head, and I don't know what the right answer often is with it, but that's okay. That's life. I'm still going to have this conundrum when I'm 90 years old. I hope so anyways, because that means I still have a brain and I'm still struggling with things. All right. Take care and have a wonderful day.